All right, everybody. Welcome to a long lost episode of the Sports and Nothing Else podcast. We have not been on in a while. We're busy and our schedules don't really match, but it's the Super Bowl in 2 days. So we thought we could actually, have a podcast and the trade deadline, which was eventful for the NBA. So Kyle, how's it going on this lovely Friday night?
It's going pretty well. It's about 10 o'clock right now, so it is officially past my bedtime, but I will always stay up for deadline day.
Oh, Kyle loves trades.
Always.
There's nothing
It's my favorite.
sports more than trades.
It's literally my favorite day of the year. It's better than Christmas.
Kyle has to probably be looking forward to it. Looks like probably Major League Baseball is going to get something hammered out this weekend. And then it's going to be a flurry of free agent signings. And Kyle's going to be pumped about that too. So Everything's coming up Kyle right now. I do want to give myself one plug. I've missed most of my playoff bets, but it hasn't mattered because I had the Bengals to win the AFC at 10-1. So I'm up for the playoffs and ready to wager heavily on a Super Bowl that I don't care about at all. We'll get to that in a little bit, but Kyle's going to make a start on NBA because it was a wild trade deadline. Kyle, where do you want to start? Kyle's got his Sonics jersey on. It's a defunct franchise. All right, Kyle, what do you want to start with? What happened first, or you want to start with the big one?
So I think we should go through all 20 transactions that have happened very, very quickly since the start of 2022. Got them all. Okay. You gotta name a winner for each transaction, and then if you have any analysis,
go. You better go fast. The people are
all right.
Everyone, all tens of people that watch this, go.
All right, January 3rd, the Los Angeles Lakers get the draft rights to Luis Lavier, and the Cavs get Rondo, and the Knicks get Denzel Valentine, who they waived.
I have no thoughts on that trade. The Cavs have been playing Rondo, and the Cavs are playing well, so we'll call them the winner. Move on.
Cavs, bam. All right, January 4th, the Jazz get cash considerations. The Thunder get Mie Oni and a 2028 second-round pick.
I guess I'll give the Thunder the win because they got players and picks. Go ahead.
All right, first real trade. January 13th, the Knicks get Cam Reddish, Solomon Hill, and a second-round pick. The Hawks get Kevin Knox and a first-round pick.
Well, considering that Cam Reddish isn't actually even hardly ever playing for the Knicks, I'm going to say the Hawks actually won that deal because they played better since they got rid of him because they have less people that need minutes. Mm-hmm. So even though it looked like the Knicks won, I'm going to say they lost. Go on.
Yep, I agree on that one because Tibbs hated Reddish, didn't want to do that trade, and hasn't played him since. Yep. Next, pretty irrelevant, Bryn Forbes to the Nuggets, Juancho Hernan Gomez to the Spurs with cash considerations of a second-round pick. This trade, the Celtics actually got Bol and PJ Dozier, who they then traded yesterday.
That's true.
That doesn't really impact anything whatsoever. The 4th, so we're actually to basically the deadline. Trailblazers get Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, a second-round pick, and the Clips get Norman Powell and Robert Covington.
I mean, I think we all know why the Trailblazers are doing what they're doing, but the Clippers win the trade. Norman Powell's definitely the best player in the trade. Mm-hmm. And the Trailblazers are going to be bad for a really long time. That's my takeaway from that.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting that the Clippers were able to do both a win-now trade just in case Paul George and Kawhi come back, but also a trade that helps them next year. I mean, even if Covington has nothing left in the tank at all, Norman Powell's a really good player.
Yeah, Norman Powell is a good guy to have on your books, I think. So. Mm-hmm.
All right, the day before deadline day, the Cavs get Karis LeVert and a second-round pick. The Pacers get Rubio, who's out for the year with an ACL and an expiring contract, and a lottery-protected 2022 first-round pick, 2022 second-round pick, and another second-round pick.
I think it's a to be determined because I don't know that Karis LeVert fits, but he does provide them with what they technically need if he is willing to play within their framework because they need scoring on the wing and some defense, although it's not always been his strength. And they're really good. So therefore, giving up picks, it's not a big deal currently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was projected to be a pretty late first-round pick in a draft that's not very deep. And right now, your best wing is Cedi Osman and Lauri Markkanen. So it's probably the worst wing rotation in the NBA for a team that should legitimately contend for the East title. So I kind of like it, but I also don't like Karis LeVert. Now you have to pay Karis LeVert.
Yeah, well, that's always a problem with those trades. All right. Carry
All
on.
right, first actual big one. The Pelicans get C.J. McCollum, Larry Nance, Tony Snell. Trailblazers get Josh Hart, Thomas Satoransky, who they also then traded Nikhil Alexander Walker, or Walker Alexander, I don't even know which it is, who
Yeah.
also got traded again. Didi Lazuda, a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a second-round pick swap.
My immediate reaction is that you want picks that are coming from the New Orleans Pelicans because it's a poorly run franchise, but it's a protected first-round pick.
And they already had traded that pick in the Devontae Graham trade. So there are different protections on if the Hornets get that pick or if the Trailblazers actually even get that pick.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, I think it's a worthy gamble for the Pelicans, who all of a sudden add another real NBA player and may get Zion Williamson back, and then all of a sudden could be a really interesting, sneaky, fun play-in team / team the Phoenix Suns really don't want to deal with in round one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not want to play them if Zion actually comes back. But this was basically the culmination of the Trailblazers trades, although they had one more with the Jazz. It's pretty pointless. But they ended up trading 2 first-round picks, Gary Trent, C.J. McCollum, and Larry Nance, and they got Josh Hart, Joe Ingles, who's out for the year, an expiring contract, Elijah Hughes, a second-round pick, Keon Johnson, and a very heavily protected first-round pick. Probably should have blown it up 2 years ago.
As they say, it's not great. Yeah, that's not what you want. All right, let's.
All right.
Blazers are going to be bad because Lillard's getting dealt this summer too, and no one's ever going to go sign there, and so now they have to draft. Get incredibly lucky in the draft again.
To build around Simons, essentially.
Yeah, Simon's a good player, but he's not Damian Lillard.
All right, second biggest trade of the day.
Uh-huh.
The Kings get Domantas Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, Justin Holiday, a second-round pick. Pacers get Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson.
So my immediate reaction was that the Kings are idiots. And that's probably still my current reaction because I think Halliburton is a tremendous player who's on a really friendly contract. And Sabonis is a good player on a reasonable contract for who he is. But, I mean, they traded Marvin Bagley then, which made sense. But they created another positional logjam, essentially, with Sabonis. And they traded away the best of their 3-point guards and also the youngest. And it's kind of absurd, honestly. Halliburton's not the guy you give up on. You try to get Fox out of there or whatever. Even Mitchell, who I like, he's not Halliburton either. And so they gave up the best player in the deal to get a guy who's kind of redundant. And listen, Sabonis will probably be a good player, but he's a good player for everybody. But Halliburton might be an all-star many times. So that's my thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction was we had RIP Aaron Hernandez. It's RIP Domantas Sabonis because welcome to the desert that is Sacramento. I mean, their hands are kind of tied here, though. Do you actually go for it, or do you live in mediocrity because you can't play all those guards at the same time?
And speed.
I mean, I guess.
The Lakers in the play-in, like, okay.
Here's the big question though: is why do you not trade Richaun Holmes if you're going to get Sabonis? I mean, are you really going to trade or play a lineup of Richaun Holmes, Domantas Sabonis, Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell, and De'Aaron Fox?
Like
that's the worst. That's the worst shooting lineup I've ever heard, and one of the worst you could even make if you tried. So it's going to be interesting.
Really bad. Kings are going to king.
Yep.
I actually like the Pacers moving forward. I think they have flexibility and a good coach, and Halliburton can lead them. They need another really good player. They're in a better shape than they were 5 days ago. So it's good. Mm-hmm. That's our home state. I'm good with it.
All right, next trade. This is the last of the Trailblazers. So the Jazz get Alexander Walker, Juancho Hernangomez. Blazers get Ingles. I don't know how to say John's name.
He's white.
He's something. Elijah Hughes and a second-round pick from Miami. The Spurs get Satoransky, who I'm probably guessing will get bought out, and a second-round pick.
Again, all these Blazers moves, I'm like, whatever. They're gonna suck. Except they did beat the Lakers with no one just a couple nights ago. But whatever.
All right, another irrelevant one. The Heat get a second-round pick and a first-round pick, and the Thunder get KZ Okpala and a 2025 first-round pick. No one cares.
Yeah,
Okpala
that's
is not even an NBA
certainly
player.
not how you say his name, but carry on.
Whatever. Raptors get Thaddeus Young, Drew Eubanks, who I think they bought out, and a second-round pick. The Spurs get Dragic and a 2022 first-round pick.
Yeah, so I think that's actually a good trade for everybody. Dragic wasn't going to play. The Spurs will buy him out. They get the pick that they want, and Thad Young is useful. Another switchable wing that lets the Raptors continue to do what they want, which is switch everything on defense, be super long and annoying, and rebound, and let Siakam and Van Vliet cook, which they really have lately. That's a fun team with Scotty Barnes on it too, and they're set up for the now and they're set up for the future. So. I don't know. Nick Nurse, obviously a great coach. They've hung around even with injuries and weird COVID stuff and the whole thing. So props to them. And I think it's a good trade for both teams.
Yeah, that makes 11 players 6'8" or taller on the Raptors roster, which is outrageous. The bummer is that they didn't get a true center, which is what they actually needed. I mean, I thought Jakob Poeltl was actually who they would try to trade from the Spurs, or at least try to get Rashad Holmes or something. But I guess they're going with Siakam at the 5, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that is the issue, is that who's going to guard Joel Embiid? There's no answer to that.
Yep. So. It's not going to be Boucher. It's not going to be Ken Birch. Yeah.
Van Vliet?
The only small person they play.
Yeah.
All right. Next trade. We got DiVincenzo to the Kings along with Josh Jackson and Trey Lyles. So a bunch of mediocrity. Josh Jackson.
Yeah.
The Pistons get Bagley, so good luck with that. And the Bucks get Serge Ibaka and a 2022 second-round pick.
Well, the great thing is that the Pistons, terrible defense, should really step up with Bagley. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't play a friggin' lick of defense. Marvin Bagley was drafted directly ahead of Luka Doncic and Trae Young. That is a disaster beyond even words. It's another classic example of we have De'Aaron Fox. We're not going to draft another point guard, and then you drafted 2 more point guards right after that who aren't nearly as good as the 2 guys you could have taken, and then not paid De'Aaron Fox. So what a mess. The winner of the trade is the Bucks. Serge Ibaka is a huge, huge plug and play guy with Brook Lopez still not knowing whether he's going to actually play this year. I actually like the flyer on Bagley because the Pistons are going nowhere. I don't mind that, and I actually kind of like DiVincenzo too. But again, it's just another guard for the Kings to go bury and make them hate their life.
And DiVincenzo has been terrible. He's been the 3rd white guard basically on the Bucks, so not really any reason to keep him at all.
That's fair.
Oh, we missed out the Clippers. The Clippers were involved in this trade. They got Semi Ojeleye and Rodney Hood, both of whom suck. All right, next.
Okay.
This is the most irrelevant trade on the entire list here. The Celtics get a second-round pick. The Magic get PJ Dozier and Bol Bol, both of which are out for the year.
Yeah, but there's upside there, especially with Bol Bol. I mean, his medicals are horrible. He got traded earlier, and the trade got voided because his medicals were so bad. But they figure we got Mo Bamba and Jonathan Isaac and Bol Bol, a whole bunch of guys that seem really nice, and then they're not actually any good. So.
Correct.
Great. Good for the Magic.
Yep. I will always believe in Bol Bol, just like I will still always believe in Thon Maker. And Bol Bol will never – he doesn't have a position. I mean, that's the problem.
The guy from Gonzaga then, Shaq.
Yeah.
In that alley.
Holmgren.
Yeah.
The issue is that
– play looks real awkward, but they're real tall and athletic, so everybody thinks they'll be good, but then they're too skinny to play.
Kind of like Alexei Pacheski or whatever his name is.
I don't know who that is. You're talking about
Poku, Chesk, whatever. You know what? I'm not even going to try.
But
Bol Bol, I can pronounce Bol Bol, and he cannot guard a single player in the entire NBA. So leave it at that.
All right. Move on.
All right. The only one we really actually care about coming up here. So the Nets get Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, a 2022 unprotected first-round pick, and a 2027 unprotected first-round pick. The Sixers get Harden and Paul Millsap.
I'm going to let you do your thing because we talked about this trade on the phone earlier today. You do yours, and then I've got some stuff to say. So go ahead.
All right. Mine's pretty short. Everyone wins, everyone loses.
Would you like to expound on that, or do you want me to just go off on my diatribe?
I mean, if you're going to trade for Ben Simmons, you're losing. But at the same time, he's also a really good fit with this roster. He doesn't have to score. He doesn't have to shoot. All he has to do is run in transition and D up. I mean, that's literally it. So him next to Durant, and if you actually have Kyrie playing, is perfect, especially because you can play Patty Mills with him. You can hide Patty Mills. You can play Seth Curry with him. You can hide Seth Curry. I don't know what their crunch time lineup is. Maybe it's Durant at the 5, but either way, they have a ton of shooting, and you have one of the best defenders in the league right now. You also get rid of James Harden, who was arguably tanking his way out of a second team in 1 year, technically 1 calendar year. But I actually love Harden with Embiid. So
I hope you're going to add to that sentence.
I think for the first time in Embiid's entire career, he has someone that can create off the ball. So instead of the last 2 minutes, Embiid getting the ball 25 feet from the basket and having that 7-2 to basically create the entire offense, he has someone that, in theory, should be able to do that. It's never actually occurred in the playoffs, but I think it can actually work. So we'll see.
So here's the thing. We'll do basketball fit in a second. I think you've actually done a pretty good job of laying that out for us. I've been trying to figure out for a long time why I hate guys like Ben Simmons and James Harden so much, besides the very obvious answers. And then I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast today, and Big Waz was on there, and he opened an absolute can on Ben Simmons, and it's exactly how I feel. He used language that I would not condone nor use on this podcast. But they were talking about it being the player empowerment area, and he was like, hold on. This is not the same as LeBron saying, hey, I'm signing a 4-year extension and then I'll be a free agent and go ahead and line up. Like, I'm probably leaving. This is, you signed a 4-year extension and immediately demanded a trade, and you decided you wouldn't show up to work because your feelings got hurt and you couldn't handle the fact that someone might not have glowing things to say after you played like a small child in an important playoff game, series, playoff stretch, run, multiple years of playoffs, however you want to call it. So that guy is being traded for a guy who did actually show up to work last year, just that he looked like he had eaten another player on the team. He forced his way out, immediately got himself into shape. By all accounts, was a model citizen for Brooklyn last year. But then the playoffs came around. He got a hammy, and then if you watch, even though he was clearly compromised physically, he didn't even have any interest in being a part of their offense at the end of those Bucks games that they needed to win. It was just all KD, because it certainly wasn't Joe Harris, who I don't know what happened to Joe Harris last year. And then things got hard this year because Kyrie Irving is, speaking of player empowerment, gosh dang, that guy. And Durant got hurt, and Harden had to carry a bigger load than he wanted, and so he forced his way out again. And so these are the two people in a trade. I wanted to cheer for Joel Embiid this year. I cannot with James Harden on the team. I love Kevin Durant, not as a person, but a basketball player. Like, who's better to watch than him? But am I going to cheer for a team with Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons on it? Not. They could play like convicts, and I would cheer for the convicts for sure. Like, maybe there's a redemptive possibility with some of them. Kyrie Irving, no. Okay, this is ridiculous. I hope, this is my theory. I think the Bucks actually won this trade because I think it weakened both teams in the short term. I think in the long term, it might have helped both teams. Harden and Embiid, if they figure it out, it's pretty terrifying. Now, I don't know how much.
No, girl.
Playing terrible defense.
No, girl.
And then he's going to watch him in the playoffs shrink, just like Ben Simmons did. And then Kevin Durant's going to watch the same thing. Like, imagine a huge Game 6 or Game 7 in Brooklyn. Kyrie Irving can't play. Ben Simmons will be in the corner crying. And it's just going to be like last year again, Kevin Durant all by himself. And the East is too good for Kevin Durant all by himself. It's not going to work. So
yep.
I don't know. I think both teams, the fit works really well moving forward. I think in this season with only, 30 games left, I think they're actually both not as good as the Bucks, who added Serge Ibaka, who could just slide right in. That's my long way to get to the fact that I think the Nets actually won the trade long term with the picks and all of that, and Seth Curry, who I really like. But I think both players are losers and losing players, and I can't stand them. There you go.
I can second all of that. All right, on to the next, and we're going to go really quick because no one really cares about any of the rest of these trades.
Porzingis trade, I care about that.
All right, Celtics get Derek White. I actually like this one. The Spurs get Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, a first-round pick, and another first-round pick swap.
Feels like a lot for Derek White. That was my perspective. But I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Derek White, so I'm probably not real qualified to answer this question.
I mean, Richardson has been pretty good this year, but they didn't want to pay him. Langford has been trash since they drafted him. The first-round pick hurts, and the pick swap, you never really know. You would think by 2028, this
damaging things for the Celtics potentially.
Yeah. That being said, they desperately needed a guard that wasn't Dennis Schroeder to play with Marcus Smart. Derek White is basically Marcus Smart 2.0, but a better driver and a better offensive player, and not quite as good a defender. So I actually like the fit. They're kind of weird as a fit together because they're both combo guards, but it is so much better than Schroeder. So, yeah, we'll see. The Suns. Next, Suns get Torrey Craig back. The Pacers get Jalen Smith, who was a lottery pick 2 years ago, and a future second-round pick.
I mean, Torrey Craig probably is like the 8th or 9th man on the Suns, so maybe they win this in the short term. The real takeaway from this trade is that the Suns didn't exercise Jalen Smith's third-year option, which is really cheap as a 10th pick. And so he basically became an expiring contract that they weren't going to pay when they could have just paid. He started to show some signs of being a decent player this year, but they forced themselves into paying him, and they got to pay Ayton because Sarver was too cheap to pay him too this offseason. And so they basically had to give away an asset for free. I mean, Torrey Craig's not going to make or break them winning the finals. He's just not. So I think the Pacers won the trade, or whomever that trade was.
Yep. That would be the Pacers. I actually like Jalen Smith, and you're right. When Ayton was out, he actually looked pretty good, which this is what they needed last year. They desperately needed a backup center, and they had to give him away for Torrey Craig. I mean, they need another wing defender, but you let Torrey Craig walk last year because you didn't want to pay him 2 years, $10 million, and then you trade for him.
He's back. And as a reminder, the pick after Jalen Smith was Tyrese Halliburton for all those playing along at home.
So, yeah, that's a rough one. All right, the Hornets get Montrezl Harrell. They finally get a center. And the Washington Wizards get Vernon Carey, Ish Smith, future second-round pick.
Montrezl Harrell isn't a center. He's a glorified power forward, but I understand what you're saying. I don't like Montrezl Harrell. He's unplayable in the playoffs. That trade is a nothing to me.
And in fairness for the Hornets, it doesn't really matter if he's playable in the playoffs because they're not going anywhere. But
so they've lost a lot of games in a row. They're playing
like 6 or 7 now. This is another team that could have used Rashawn Holmes or Jakob Poeltl. They need a center. They're playing Plumlee or whoever they're playing.
41 points tonight. You want to guess who they were playing?
I actually saw this. They had like 110 at the end of the third, and I don't know who they were playing.
The Pistons, of course. Marvin Bagley hasn't on the team yet. Fun.
All right, Suns get Aaron Holiday, and the Wizards get cash considerations. Who cares? I don't even know. I can't keep track of the holidays. There's 2 that suck and 1 that's good.
Like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Independence Day. All right, keep going. Yeah, whatever.
This is the last one that matters. The Mavs get Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, and the Wizards get Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick.
Okay, I actually just hate this trade for everyone because this is both teams admitting that the contracts they signed with those guys are garbage.
Yep.
And so for the Mavericks, they needed to dump Porzingis for expirings so they could do something. Instead, they just took on more dead money. Bertans has been one of the worst players in the NBA. It makes like $15 million a year. And Dinwiddie is a terrible fit with Luka and is injury prone and really kind of a difficult person to deal with. Kind of a very me first player in a team that the usage rate of their best player is humongous. Speaking of which, Luka had 28 in the first quarter last night and 7 threes, which is kind of unbelievable. ended with 51. So I don't know. To me, it was kind of a depressing situation for both teams. It's like we lose, everybody loses, and then we're just going to shuffle our losing players around. And maybe the Mavericks can more easily trade each of those guys this summer. If it doesn't work out, then Porzingis. But the Wizards, I don't even know what's the deal with the Wizards. That's what a depressing place. It's like Kings East at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I think you hit right on their goal there is that they wanted to get rid of Porzingis' contract. You want to sell when you can because he's actually been pretty good this year, but they know he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt.
Games,
Correct. And Dinwiddie and Bertans is not movable. That's probably the worst contract in the NBA outside of Westbrook and Wall.
Westbrook.
But it's not even half of what Porzingis is making. And you can probably move Dinwiddie if he looks a little bit better towards the end of this year. And I think you can play all three of those guards. I mean, Brunson, Dinwiddie, and
certainly
Luka.
Dinwiddie and Doncic are both big guards. I think you're probably right about that.
And you play whatever his name, Powell instead of Porzingis. It's not that White Powell, it's Kleber, whatever. I mean,
either one.
They're just becoming a jump shooting team, and who knows?
Kind of what they were, anyways. Porzingis was posting up, and when he was, it wasn't effective.
Correct.
Is that the last trade?
There's one more. They snuck in like 1 minute before 3 p.m. on Thursday. The Celtics get Daniel Tice, and the Houston Rockets get Dennis Schroeder, Enes Kanter Freedom, and Bruno Fernando.
That's right. A couple of those guys will end up being buyout guys for sure.
I think they already have been.
Probably. Rumors of Schroeder going back to the Lakers, which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
But they could actually use him. Honestly, if they got him, they could just tell Russell Westbrook to go away.
Correct.
Probably should. Okay, two things if you like the NBA that you should go watch. First of all, Kyle sent me a hilarious video of some Russell Westbrook stuff the other night. It was just one shot, but there are great compilations of this year of Russell Westbrook that you should go see. Maybe the best NBA meme I've ever seen was sent by our worship pastor. That is a picture of what Robert F. Kennedy might look like if he were old, and it said, the meme is if Russell Westbrook was the shooter. Pretty good, pretty dark, but pretty good. And then the third thing is they had LeBron and Kevin Durant pick their all-star teams last night on TNT, and they got down to the final two. Durant has the second to last pick is between Gobert and Harden, and LeBron is just dying because Durant will not take James Harden. He takes Gobert, who they made fun of the Jazz last year on that same broadcast, him and LeBron. And LeBron's holding a clipboard over his face, laughing, and Charles Barkley's not helping, of course. And you got to watch it. It's like a clip you will watch. Made me laugh so hard. All right. Kyle, you got anything you hate before we move on to the Super Bowl real quickly, and then I go to bed?
Oh, I have plenty, but I'm going to pass on that one.
Okay. I actually have so many that I might not be able to narrow it down. I've been thinking of these for weeks. I'm just gonna pass too. Let's make it a happy one. We're in a good mood.
Yep.
All right. Super Bowl. First of all, let's just start quickly. Spread bet. Who's your pick and why? Right now it's Rams -4.
Yeah, I have the Bengals at +4.
Oh, good.
It's
agree. Go ahead.
Basically because I don't really know at all what's going to happen, and I'm going to pick the team that I want to win.
That's fair. You would think I would stick with the Bengals, who I bet early on to win the division, made me money, and then I bet to win the AFC, and made me money again. But I think all the sexy money is on the Bengals right now, and I think it's like, oh, Joe Burrow, we love Joe Burrow. Trust me, I love Joe Burrow. And part of the reason I would bet the Rams is because if the Bengals win, I'll make way more money on selling Joe Burrow rookie cards. So I may hedge my bet a little bit there, but I actually just don't think – I think it's as simple as the Bengals have way less really good players than the Rams do, and I don't think they can block them, and I don't think Chase is going to shake free of Ramsey often, and I just don't think the matchup is good. That's my thing. I think will Stafford throw some horrendous pass in this game that could – like if the 49ers catch that long bomb that he threw for no reason late in that game, then we're not talking about the Rams in the Super Bowl. He makes one of those or two or sometimes like 6 of those passes, and all the Lions fans are shaking their head right now. But he's been pretty clean in the playoffs, and I don't know who's going to cover Kupp, so that's going to be one of my props. But I don't know. I actually think it's going to be like Rams 34 to 17. I actually think they're going to clean up in this game. So that would be a word of the wise to all of you. Go bet the Bengals immediately, now that I've said all those things. All right, Kyle, give me 2 of your favorite props, and then I'll give you 2 of mine, and we'll see how long we can go here.
All right. This is you're gonna have to put a lot of money down on this one to actually win anything, but
100,000 one I told you about.
it's not that ridiculous. But a QB to win MVP is minus 290. Please tell me the last time a QB did not win MVP in the Super Bowl.
Is it Von Miller?
I don't know. I couldn't
Could
remember.
have been Malcolm Butler.
Sure. Yep. So I like that one.
Out of the last 12 is the last for MVP. 9 quarterbacks out of the last 12. Malcolm Smith won it for the Seahawks in that game. They steamrolled the Broncos. Yeah. So you want the quarterback? Interesting.
Yep. And then I want every single running back under for both teams. One, because I don't think the Bengals can block anyone, much less a team with a good pass rush. And Mixon hasn't done anything at all. He's 60.5. And Akers has looked horrendous, and he's at 64.5. So I like the under on both of those.
I actually do too, because I think both teams are going to air it out. I'm going to bet both of those for sure. All right, I'll give you a couple of mine.
I got one outlandish one that I like too, though. But I actually think probably I like that it might hit. The Bengals' first drive resulted in a field goal attempt. It's actually plus 470. They have the best kicker in the league. Their offense tends to sputter out their first couple drives, so I kind of like that one.
Yeah, I mean, plus 470, that's probably worth a flyer. All right, so here's my picks. You got more props or no?
I mean, I have a ton more, but go ahead.
Okay, I have Rams -4 for the reasons I laid out. I actually, if the Rams are going to really win big, I think it might be because their defense is just like outrageous. So I have Aaron Donald plus 1,400 to win the MVP. That's a really long shot, but that's like 3 sacks and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Probably was what would be needed, and him just being everywhere. Which honestly, the Bengals can't block anyone. How are they going to block that guy? So we'll see. I want Cooper Kupp over 105 receiving yards. I want Stafford. To me, these bets are together. Stafford over 283.5. If Kupp's going to go for 150 yards or whatever, Stafford's going to hit the over.
Yep.
And I want yes on there being a missed field goal plus 106. Actually, the Rams kicker is probably the most logical candidate. He was short on like a 45-yard field goal in one of these playoff games. It almost was humongous, and I can't tell you the last time I saw an NFL kicker be short on a 45-yard field goal. Like, it's usually like 3/4 of the way up the pole, and they just hook it or push it. To be short, that's a real problem. So that would be my plus. I think the Bengals could, have McPherson try to hit like a 58-yarder at some point, and maybe he'll make it, but they may take multiples of those because I just see them having a hard time moving the ball when the field gets condensed. So I think they're going to kick a lot of field goals. I actually loved, until the odds went way up, McPherson over 1.5 attempts. I think that's like a first half, and you hit it and move on. So I'm going to have more. Kyle knows I got $190 to mess around with in my FanDuel account for that Bengals bet. So we're coming in hot. I'm probably going to I'll probably have a lot of that on different props and stuff, and a couple of really long shot ones that I got to come up with. You can bet if you really don't like money, minus 100,000. That means, I guess if you would bet $100,000, it's $10. Is that right? That the opening kickoff won't be returned for a touchdown. Imagine the terror if it's a bad kick and you start seeing things open up. It's hilarious. And it's only plus 7,000 for yes. So it's a wild bet. But anyway. And that's really probably most of our football coverage. I mean, we tried to get this a couple different times. I actually had it set up to get Joel on here one night because Kyle was busy. And then I couldn't do it. And then Kyle and I have been trying to coordinate for like 2 weeks. and haven't been able to do it. Kyle's work has been crazy, and my kids just won't stop leaving me. Well, they just won't leave me alone. I don't even know what to tell you. So, but anyhow, nice to be back. Kyle, have you watched anything recently? Oh, do you have more props that you want to give us?
I can do a couple more if you want, real quick.
Go ahead.
All right. I like that Chase and Cup to combine for over 200 receiving yards. It's a plus 100. I think one of.
But that's for my other reason. Well, actually, I do like it because I think Cup's can have like 160. So I'm actually good.
The MVP, and I didn't even think about Ramsey, but Jamar Chase at plus 2,500. If the Bengals are going to win, it has to be him, in my opinion.
And that's why the Bengals aren't going to win.
So fair. I like Higgins anytime TD plus 175.
That's a good
And I love for really long shots all the exact scores. They're all at least 24,000 or higher. So nailed that, huh? But I mean, the guy last weekend that hit both of them.
Oh my word! A $20 bet that ended up being like $500,000 or something.
Yep. Just put 5 on like 10 different score combinations and see if you get lucky.
I'm not going to do that, but I probably will do a couple just for fun.
Then the last one that I liked was the last play of the game not to be a kneel by the QB, which normally in a normal playoff environment, you see a lot of those. We've hardly seen any this year. So.
We've had great games. Even the games that haven't been good have been close for the most part. So, yeah, I think that's reasonable, especially if you think it's the Bengals. I don't see how the Bengals run away with this game. So, and a reminder to everyone betting on stuff, the Super Bowl is always weird. It's usually disjointed. It's usually slower paced than you would expect. The under tends to be the bet. I mean, just not long ago, there was a 13-3 game. I don't think the over hit last year with the Chiefs and the Bucks, and it should have, considering those offenses. And yeah, I don't know. Which is another reason to take +4, by the way, with the Bengals, is you just think it will be a low-scoring, disjointed game, which it certainly could be, even though we're taking receivers over huge numbers and all kinds of stuff. So who knows? I don't know. I could see Matthew Stafford totally wilting and the Bengals winning for sure. But I don't know. The Bengals don't seem like they're good enough, but I've been wrong before. So, all right, let's move on because we got to go to bed. I took the girls to Disney tonight. It was a magical evening. Kate only cried one time, and Micah only cried one time. So that was pretty good. I wouldn't buy the animals, so that got Micah. And Kate dropped some snow cone on the ground, so that was her problem. All right. That's really my family fiasco there. Any recommendations for us?
Sure. Watched Black Sails fairly recently. If you like pirates, it's based on Treasure Island. It's fantastic. It's on Stars. Yeah, I have not actually finished it. I've started it multiple times, but it's really good. First 2 seasons are great. And then we watched Zodiac fairly recently, which is Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey Jr., the Zodiac Killer. It's a great movie.
It is a good movie. Emily and I watched that when we were dating in college. So, not the most disturbing movie we watched together while we were dating. That would be Gone Girl. Actually, I think we might have been married.
That movie is intense.
That movie is a lot. I mean, this is kind of terrifying. I actually walked into the bathroom with 2 other guys after that movie, and the one guy looked at the other 2 of us, and he said, "What the hell just happened?" That's a pretty good assessment of that movie.
Yep.
So,
along those lines, have you seen Nocturnal Animals?
No. Is that also Jake Gyllenhaal?
You know, it's been a while since I've watched it, but it just reminded me of that, so I don't even remember.
Okay. Jake Gyllenhaal in the news a lot lately, as we may have covered once or so on this podcast. All right. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think that's it.
Sorry if the sounds.
I got.
Find headphones today, everybody. Kids take everything, just ruin it. All right. Good to see you. We'll come back on. Hopefully we come back on after the Super Bowl and the major leagues have figured out how to get a season going. And yeah, we'll and we've got I'm gonna wait till Dad comes down here in a few weeks, but ESPN released their top 100 Major League Baseball player list of all time. and it's in my humble opinion that there's some egregious errors on it. So the three of us are going to get on and debate it. And those of you that don't like baseball, it's going to be a long podcast. So just stay away. We'll only do that for that podcast. So if you don't care about historic baseball stuff, just don't waste your time. But if you do, we'll probably have like 200 minutes of it. So
It's going to be great.
yeah, it's going to be great. It won't be 200 minutes, but it will definitely be 2 hours, I bet.
It might be.
I don't know. I got a lot of notes. I got a lot of thoughts. All right, everybody. Sorry it's been so long. Stay safe out there. Hope the Super Bowl's good. Hope James Harden and Ben Simmons suck. See you later.